As projects grow, keeping our icons cohesive and organized can become more and more challenging. Loose icons on the canvas can lead to inconsistent size, style, and slow down our workflow. So in this lesson, we'll cover how to create cohesive vector sets, import external icon libraries, organize everything cleanly, and easily add them to our project. In Framer, we can create a collection of editable vector icons and store them in our Assets panel so that they are in one place, easy to browse, and ready to use anywhere in our project. These are called vector sets, and they give us a controlled environment to design our icons so that we can control their size, style, and structure, preventing any of them from feeling mismatched or off-brand. There's a few ways to create vector sets in Framer, from the Assets panel, from the canvas, or by importing pre-existing SVG files. To create one from the Assets panel, we'll navigate to the Vectors section and click the plus icon. From here, choose New Set. This will create a fresh vector set with a few default shapes within containers to get us started. Like I mentioned before, vector sets will live right here in the Assets panel, making them easy to access and edit along with any of our other project assets. And each icon in our set sits inside its own container, and it's a good idea to size it the way we want from the start, because every new icon is created at the size of the container we currently have selected. And while we can always make individual containers different sizes, best practice is to keep all icons in a set sharing the same container to maintain a cohesive scale. Okay, so from here, we can tweak the default shapes or delete them and start fresh, using all the drawing techniques from the previous lesson to create and style our own icons, with strokes, fills, and Boolean operations at our disposal. And if we zoom in while drawing, Framer reveals a helpful grid that makes it easier to craft precise, well-aligned icons. Now, here we have an icon made up of several paths, and I'm going to start by grouping them together to make it even easier to style them all at once. So I'll go ahead and select all the elements and hit Command G, or right-click and choose Group. Now we can apply and adjust shared properties like stroke width on the whole icon at once, while still being able to select individual paths or elements inside the group if we need more control. And once we're ready to add more icons to this set, we can click the plus icon next to the existing ones. As we create more icons, it becomes even more important to keep the entire set feeling cohesive. Consistent styling like matching stroke widths and similar corner radius goes a long way in making an icon set feel intentional rather than random. A quick tip is that using Framer's alignment tools can also help keep each icon centered within its container, so that they stay visually stable and don't shift around when we're using them throughout our projects. Of course, we won't always start creating icons inside a brand new vector set. Sometimes it's more natural to draw an icon directly on the canvas, and when we do, we can still convert it into a vector set at any time. But before converting, we need to make sure all the icon's elements are grouped. If they aren't, Framer will treat each element as its own separate icon, which isn't what we want. So to do that, we'll open the Layers panel and select each path or shape used to make the icon and hit Command G just like before to group them together. Now with everything grouped, we can right-click and choose Create Vector Set, and Framer will generate a new set using the icon we already created on the canvas. However, something important to note is that vector sets don't support frames. So if a frame is included in your selection when trying to create a vector set, the option to create one won't appear. That's why it's important to use groups for vector shapes and paths. Think of it like this. Groups organize vector path layers, while frames are meant for page layout and structure. Okay. Now, the last way to create a vector set in Framer is by importing SVGs from your computer, like a folder of icons from an icon pack. So to do this, We'll just select the SVG files from our computer and drag them onto the canvas. Framer will then automatically generate a new vector set with all the icons organized and fully customizable. If we ever need to expand the set, we can just drag several additional SVGs into the same vector set to keep everything together. Now, no matter how a vector set gets created, keeping it organized is one of the most important parts. A simple naming structure for your icons goes a long way. So we want to make sure each icon has a clear, consistent name so it's easy to find once the vector set is added to a page. For example, names like search, settings, arrow left, arrow right, or user make each icon easy to find. And using consistent naming like arrow left and arrow right also keeps related icons grouped together, making them faster to browse and reuse. With that said, when we're ready, we can add a vector set and all of its icons directly to a page by opening the Assets panel and dragging it in directly from the Vector section. When we drag a vector set onto a page, we will see the first icon in the set by default, but we can head to the Properties panel and open a popover that lets us browse, search, and switch between icons instantly. And that covers how to create, organize, and work with vector sets in Framer. Whether you're drawing icons from scratch or importing a full library, vector sets keep everything consistent, editable, and easy to manage. In the next lesson, we'll build on this by exploring how to create variations of our icons utilizing variables and how to manage them inside of our vector sets. I'll see you there.